Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Black Men Matter series on the male perspective. The podcast that's all about dispelling stereotypes and shining a light on the rich and varied experiences of Black men from all around the world. Each episode aims to broaden understanding and foster appreciation for their unique stories that often go unheard. Now, here is your host, Lana Reid, to introduce you to yet another remarkable Black man with an insightful perspective to share.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today, on this day, I have the pleasure of sitting down with a gentleman by the name of Ken Miller. He is an author, speaker, and mentor with an amazing, impactful story of resilience, and I'm looking forward to peeking into his life today. But first and foremost, as I always do, sir, I take a quick moment to pause, say thank you to you for making time for me today. Time is a gift. Once we give it, we can't get it back. So I truly appreciate you making time to talk to me. And with that, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Lana. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. So I've got a short amount of time and I got a lot of nosy questions to ask you. So let me just jump right in. First and foremost, with the book that you have out there, I think, 7-8 months it's been out now?
Yes.
Alrighty, so Becoming Ken, one black man's journey from Ivy League to prison and back again. And I guess I want to ask, before becoming Ken, who exactly was Ken?
Ken was a lot of things to a lot of different communities and people. For some, Ken was the drug dealer, or Ken was the pimp, or Ken was the perpetrator of harm. And for others, I was a son, a husband, a worker. It depends on, the environment I was in and the individuals I was, interacting with. And so I had a lot of different names on the street, in the penitentiary. And I was, my identity was not Ken. It was, these roles that I chose to play or had to play.
I think I was reading some of the book. I think you called them labels that you had to overcome, right? Awesome. So the first part of the title is Ivy League. So I'm going to peek a little bit more into that. So there was a point in time in your life where you found yourself on the campus of an Ivy League college. World is your oyster. Opportunities are abundant. You worked hard to get there. In retrospect, if you had to pinpoint one moment, when did what you worked so hard for, you started veering off of that path?
Well, the difficulty is this, and this is what happens to a lot of children or teenagers. They go to college. I wasn't fully formed. And what I mean by fully formed, emotionally, I wasn't fully formed. And what that meant is a lot of the ways that I dealt with the world or interactions with others, it was broken and or not fully developed that I could deal with them in a mature way. And so I went to college. I was 17 years old on an Ivy League campus. Dartmouth College was the name of the college. And I was a fish out of water. And so when you're in that position, you're grasping to connect, because I didn't come out of the prep school world, and there's a lot of preps. I didn't come out of the inner city world. I did not come out of the quote unquote the Black community. I came from Anchorage, Alaska. And I'm listening to heavy metal music coming out of Anchorage, Alaska. Well, I had this jean jacket that had, all the heavy metal bands on it. And I had a Jerry curl. This is 1980. And that had gone out of style like 2 years before, but I didn't know in Alaska. I thought I was it.
You cool.
And yeah, I was Mr. Cool. And, of course, I didn't know anybody on the campus or anything like that. So I was very, very uncomfortable. And also I'd come off of a very stressful last year of high school. Okay. My father and I had engaged in a violent fight. Police were called, and I had to end up hiding out my last 4 months of school, hiding from my father so that he would not hurt or kill me.
In
True
Anchorage.
story. In Anchorage, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And so anyway, so I go there. The term I use is broken because
Okay.
I was broken. So
Okay. Okay. So in Anchorage High School, you knew you wanted to go to Ivy League, or how did
yeah,
you?
my mom knew. My mom knew. And so I was a National Merit Scholar. So I took the PSAT, I took the SATs. I got these scores, which then the colleges started reaching out to, and everything's done by mail back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
And I had 170 colleges attempt to get me to matriculate because you got to understand, I played sports.
Okay.
I'm black. I'm
Okay.
from Alaska. Yes, because they're trying to fit
Yeah, all the little
spots,
boxes.
boxes, and I have these great scores. I'm I'm like a good one for them.
Yeah.
So I only ended up applying to three colleges: Harvard, Dartmouth, and Oberlin. And at the time when I was accepted to all of them, I wanted to go to Oberlin. I never forget that. And because we had the letters in front of us, and they're all saying, we, dear Mr. Miller, we would hope that you'd be able to matriculate at XYZ College. And I remember my mom said, well, which one do you want to go to? And I said, Oberlin. And she said, that's great. What's your first choice? So I said, well, looks like
guess
Dartmouth.
guess we're not going to Oberlin,
Yeah,
right?
my mother had gone to Columbia. So she went to
Okay.
Columbia's Teachers College, get her master's and was working on her doctorate. When
Mhm.
unfortunately my dad shot my mom, so she never got her doctorate. So that's another story that's in the book.
Okay.
So
She lived though.
yes, she did,
Okay.
but never was the same.
Okay.
Never was the same.
Never was the same. Okay.
And that's the thing. A lot of people, and there's a lot of people who do know, but a lot of people, even some of your listeners, don't understand what true trauma is.
Hmm.
True trauma.
Yes.
My mother was a very strong Black woman,
Hmm.
and she was never the same after that shooting. Never the
Hmm.
same. Okay. And I'm talking about mentally and emotionally, more mentally. I mean, more emotionally, in trust, in fear, in feeling that you have control. Because in a lot of ways, raised me as a single mother. In some ways, you could say,
Hmm.
raised me as
Hmm.
a single mother. And because I was the only child. And again, you got to understand, this is my adoptive mother. It's a part of the book. I
Okay.
was put up for adoption at birth. My actual biological mother was a white female, white teenage girl.
Okay.
And my dad was a pimp and drug dealer. And of course, I didn't know this until about 10 years ago. But anyway, I get adopted at age 6. And this is the child that she wanted. And so we've always had this very, very close connection.
Hmm.
But when that happened, it affected me and it affected her, obviously.
Hmm.
And she was never the same.
Hmm. But I'm
Mm.
just picturing the
Yeah.
challenges. The family dynamic. Father was still in the household. Everybody was still trying to exist in the trauma.
You mean when my father shot her?
Yes.
They had been divorced for 5 years. Divorced. So my father was violent when
Hmm.
he was drunk
Hmm.
or could be violent. But and I'm saying all the violence was directed at me. Never. He never put a hand on my mother until he shot her. Never. Okay. And they had been divorced for 5 years at that point. So my mother had a restraining order against him at her job and at her house. And that Sunday, I went to have dinner. I'm 22 years old after college. And I looked out the window and Sam was out there. My dad's name was Sam. And I said, Dad's out there. And she goes, what do you mean? He's like, just sitting in the car outside your home. So we called the police, but, half hour. And then the next day, he went to her job, which again, he had a restraining
Hmm.
order. Not that he had physically done anything, just because he's a
She knew.
knucklehead.
She knew.
And he went down to her office and shot her and
Hmm.
told her while he's shooting her that he's going to shoot me. He's going to my job and he's going to shoot me. But the gun jammed. And so he went home and passed out.
Mm, mm, mm. Now that truly speaks to people. I think people, and it's a buzzword these days, trauma, 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 trauma. It's a
Mhm.
buzzword, but
Yes,
people do
overused.
not really understand what it's like to actually grow up in trauma,
Hmm.
dysfunction, and you think you're walking around healthy, but it just expresses itself in so many different ways, and we
Hmm.
can see that in your story. So, when
Hmm.
you step on college campus and you've worked there,
Yep.
you think you have the support system, you think you're capable, but the cracks start.
Yes. And then the cracks, a lot of them have to do with drugs and alcohol. I didn't, the last thing that Kenneth John Miller at age 17 wanted to become is an alcoholic.
Mm.
I had grown up. Now, I'm a different type of alcoholic in that I'm not violent. Or the term I use, my dad was a self-pitying alcoholic.
Woe is me.
What was me? Because as a black man growing up in the 30s and 40s and 50s with
Mm.
a black wife that makes more money than him,
Oh,
his masculinity, his anger at the system that he wasn't as accomplished as my mother was
mhm.
affected him. And then what affected our, see, I understand all this now. What affected our relationship is that my father already had two kids from a former marriage.
Okay.
He didn't need, and my mother is one of the most beautiful, kind, wonderful human beings that I've ever met, that I think has ever been put on this earth. And he had her all to himself.
Mm.
And then I come along, I'm afraid of him. So I'm really bonding with her and,
Mm-hmm.
spending a lot of time and taking away. Plus, she's intervening between him and
The
I.
abuse. Yeah.
Right. The abuse. Yeah. There was abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And she's intervening in that. But again, there's so much dynamics of interpersonal relationships as adults, let alone adult children, whatever, those relationships are, that it's difficult for individuals, especially 17, 18, 19, to understand why people do things or to be able to even understand enough to forgive. So I've
Mm.
forgiven my father. I had forgiven before he passed away. And
Mm.
we sat down and talked, you know, and I had to do that for my
Yeah.
growth, my emotional stability. I had to do that. And my mom did, you could say in a way.
In a way.
Well, yeah. So he's like dying, and he writes a letter to my mom or something. Sometimes she gets this letter. I'll never forget this. He's sitting down. She said, she always called me Kenneth. Kenneth, can you believe this letter Sam wrote me? Now this is 20 years, 25 years after the shooting.
After the fact.
Yeah, it was 2010. So yeah, we're talking about that happened in 85. So we're talking about 25 years later. Excuse me, it was 2000. So 15 years later, she gets this letter that he's dying, and she writes back this beautiful letter to him because she told me what she wrote to him. Beautiful letter. And then he wrote like back wanting to know if she might be thinking about maybe getting back together with him. I'm like, you, I true story. My mom was like, this man, I know he's dying. I feel bad about that.
About
We
it,
all got to
but
go.
no way, that door is shut,
That
right?
door
It's shut.
was shut on goodbye. Not hello, but goodbye.
Oh, goodness gracious, and we're, especially in the Black community, we have so many unhealthy dynamics, family
Yes,
dynamics
yes.
from generations of trauma that we are
Mhm.
still unpacking here in
Mhm.
2026. But hopefully we'll get it right one day. But let me get back to
Yeah.
becoming Ken.
Okay.
I might be here for a long time
We
talking.
got. I got time. So
Okay,
let's do
okay,
it.
okay. So I try to be conscious of time, but
Mhm.
yeah, that's interesting. So was mom the one that put you on the educational path? How did you get
Oh
interested
yeah,
in this whole little?
100.
I'm going to be a smart kid.
And that's a very good question. You're probably the first one that ever asked me that, even though I talk about it, because there's two different schools of thought, nature versus nurture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And first of all, I believe genetically, this is my belief, that I'm predisposed to being
Mm-hmm.
intelligent. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
explain why in a minute.
Okay.
But let's go back to being 6 years old. I am in first grade. I'm going through multiple foster homes. And when I get adopted, I cannot read. I cannot tell time. I can't even tie my shoes. I can't write. I can just write my name. Okay. Because they're not
6 years
teaching me
old.
this. Yeah, 6 years old, first grade. Because the foster care system in New York is not quote
The
unquote built,
best. Okay.
okay, to do homeschooling. Let's call it that.
Mm-hmm.
So that first summer of my adoption, my mother sat me down with 3x5 index cards with TH, PH, with phonetics. It's called
Go,
phonetics,
mom.
and taught me how to read. Next, now I go into second grade. They test everybody in the school, and I'm reading at the sixth grade level. Okay. Now, why do I believe that that's genetic? Now, the nurture was her nurturing me by sitting down. And every day I'm crying because I want to play. I don't
Mm.
want to sit there and talk about okay.
Can I go outside?
I don't care what a diphthong is.
Yeah.
I want to play. I'm 6 years old. You know what
Thank
I'm
you.
saying?
Yeah.
So that's the nurture, the nature. And why do you think nature, Ken? So I did the genetics, did the DNA testing. That's how I found my birth mother.
Okay.
Well, my birth father was a pimp and drug dealer in New York City in the
Mm-hmm.
50s and 60s.
Mm-hmm.
He impregnated three white females that I know of. Impregnated,
Yeah.
okay? Two Irish, one Jewish.
Okay.
And I'm like, I hate to use the word impressed, but in
In the
52,
50s and the 60s.
in the
Yes, that time,
50s,
that time of,
because he
yeah.
left Columbus, Georgia, and he was not doing that in Columbus, Georgia.
Definitely not in the
I mean,
South. No.
I'm just going to be real frank. So I go back there to Columbus, Georgia to meet these relatives I know nothing about. And there was one older guy that knew my father. And he said, "Yeah, Alex, yeah." We had to send him up north. He liked them white girls. Yeah, we had to send him up north because he could have
He
got
was going to get
killed.
shot. Yeah,
This is
get
the
killed there.
40s we're talking
Yeah.
about, 30s and 40s and 50s. So let me go back to this. So then I meet these half sisters. I got three, one from the white side, two from my father.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is a retired professor, and the other is a English teacher. And here I was, an
Oh,
English major in an Ivy League school. We're all college degrees. How we're all adopted. What are the
really?
chances of that happening?
Intellectual capacity.
Yeah, unless it was, and I believe, it is a genetic component. That's the nature part of my intelligence. Okay.
Awesome.
Now, I don't want to say, I tell people I've done a lot of drugs in my life, so I burnt off a lot of neurons and neurotransmitter. True story. When I got cleaned up, so I got clean. I know we're jumping a little ahead, but I got cleaned up. I spent 20 years homeless, in the penitentiary, on the streets. When I finally got cleaned up in 2004, going on to 2005, intellectually, I would read a paragraph in a book and I could not tell you what the first sentence said. I couldn't remember. I couldn't even comprehend a paragraph worth of information. So I spent a lot of time. I ended up reading 130 books one year, and they're predominantly
Rebuilding
nonfiction.
neurons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And just rebuilding intelligence, bringing in information that's not connected with the streets
Mm-hmm.
or the penitentiary,
Okay.
because there's a world of information. But I was in this small world when I was on the streets. My world consisted of 2 blocks by 4 blocks. I called it the little loop.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I was really hustling or trying to do something, I might expand it to 4 by, let's say, 8 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
But my world consisted of 2 by 4 blocks. And
Wow, so
I
small.
literally walked that hustling. You looking, what you want. I mean, literally, that's what I would say. Because I could tell which people I want to deal with or sell to or be the in-between for. It's called hustling. And
Mm-hmm.
that was but that's my world.
All day.
All all day, every day, rain, snow, sleet. Really, it's
Now,
more like all evening, all night.
at nighttime, right?
Ken didn't see 10 o'clock in the morning unless I was getting
That's
kicked
when you
out the
get your sleep.
motel.
Now, I'm just curious because you brought up the nature versus nurture, and
Mhm,
when you meet your sisters and you see
mhm,
that intellectual capacity runs in the family, but you also mentioned how you had to rebuild the neuron connections in your
mhm.
brain and reestablish the intellect that you had. How much per day was destroying your natural intellect? Like how much were you
It's not that it
using?
gets destroyed. It's that what we did, the term we use, when you don't use a muscle, it atrophies.
Okay, all right,
It atrophies.
okay.
And really, the brain, in a lot of ways, it atrophies because the brain is looking to take information from here to here to here and connect it to form a thought or to understand or comprehend.
Okay.
Memory is in all different places throughout the brain. A lot of people
Hmm.
don't understand how memory works. I've done a little study on this. So, anyway, what happens is when you limit your vocabulary, when you limit the amount of information coming in, it limits how quickly the brain can access information that will be pertinent to whatever you're reading or seeing
Hmm.
or looking at on the video. And so mine was limited. And then the other thing is when you are in fear, fear shuts down the rational part of the brain. Fear doesn't want to be rational.
Hmm.
Remember, there's the whole great book by Kahneman called Thinking Fast and Slow.
Yes.
It needs to identify danger and then work to get away from the danger or the perceived pain.
Hmm.
Okay, that's coming from this danger that's in
I
front of you.
got you. Okay.
So, very simply, and then also, your thing about fear. So, I've grown up in tremendous, I call it profound, sublime fear.
Mm.
I've had fear. I mean, I've had fear that's just no human. And there's people that are listening that know exactly what I'm talking about. Fear that is so palpable
Hmm.
that you could cut the air with a knife
Hmm.
because it's like a fog of fear or a black cloud
Yeah.
of fear. And it's like nowhere you turn around, the cloud's still there with you
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
fear is there. What happens when he finds me? What happens when XYZ circumstance comes to
Hmm.
fruition?
It creates a
That fear,
hypervigilance.
but it shuts down the rational. It literally shuts down the rational.
Hmm.
I know a lot about that subject.
Yeah, it creates a hypervigilance in you, and you're just
Sure.
kind of constantly operating in that cycle.
Yeah, but it's yeah, and it's not thinking about, 16 to the third power. It's not thinking
Hmm.
about that. The
Hmm.
the 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 organism, the human condition has developed over eons to be able to quickly identify danger. Therefore, you can stay alive long enough to procreate and keep the species going. Literally, that's how the
Hmm.
the
Fight or
big, and
flight.
that's a big picture. And this is definitely all in the temporal world. Now, if I want to go into the spiritual world, I can tell you a different
Spin.
version of that. Okay.
Hmm.
But the key thing is, I wasn't worried about my cognitive abilities on the streets or
Hmm.
in the penitentiary
Living
until I
another
did
day.
worry about it in the penitentiary. And I said, I'm going to, because this is so important. When I came into the penitentiary, I said, I have to work on 4 things. This last time, I went to the penitentiary 3 times, but I knew I wanted to get sober, and I wanted to stay sober, and I wanted to get well. And so I said, I need to work on physical because I'm all sucked up from smoking crack cocaine. I wanted to work on intellectual because I fried all these brain cells and haven't reestablished the connections between memory and knowledge. 3, I need to work on emotional. 4, I need to work on spiritual. And I knew that because this is the thing that you always have to ask yourself. If you're going into treatment or if you're going into prison, if I'm the same person coming in as when I'm going out, why would I expect different results?
Yeah.
And I
What
wanted
was
to be
that
a
phrase?
different, I wanted
Insanity
to
is
become
doing the
Ken.
same thing. Doing
I
what
wanted
was
to
that?
become Ken.
Yeah, becoming kin.
Yeah.
Becoming kin.
Yeah.
Now, you say that you went in 3 times,
Hmm.
and I think I read a little blurb in the book. It was a trip, the rest that quick trip, that was the pivotal moment for you. What made that particular time different than the rest of the other times?
The arrest, what made that arrest different?
Hmm. Was that the third time going
Yes.
into? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. So I tell that story on stage and I tell it, in the book, and how important that arrest was for me being on this present for this podcast
Hmm.
or present for life. Because without that arrest, I would probably be dead today. Probably.
Mm.
I'd be dead or be very miserable in
Mm.
life because I'd be in my addiction still 21 years later.
Wow.
Because I had done 20 years of my addiction in streets and penitentiaries and all that. So, very simply, I woke up in a closet. What I was is I was a hustler, but I was also a very specific type of hustler in that I was a male prostitute.
Mhm.
So I had lost my sugar daddy, which is an individual that would take care of you, provide your food and shelter, drinks, drugs, whatever. And in return, you'll provide something for him or her. I don't know about her, but for him. And but I'd lost that individual. He moved back to California. And so I'm out on my own, but my addiction is profound.
Mm.
And so I was sleeping in a closet, a broom closet in this house, this little apartment building. Anyway, I get caught by the landlord, get out, kicks me out. I'm just really in a bad, bad spot. So I call my mom. I said, Mom, I need help. But I'm not allowed in my mom's house because I had burglarized her home. But she said, I'll have a ticket ready for you to go back to Seattle to hopefully go into this free treatment center for the 13th time going.
Whoa.
Yeah, I've been to treatment 14, 14 inpatient treatment centers. And I was like, okay, cool. But I had no money. So I needed some money to eat because it takes 2 days for the bus to get from Reno to
Mhm.
Seattle, Washington.
Mhm.
So I went out there and hustled. But all I did was I did what they call a drug run, where I find people that are looking for drugs. I'm the middleman. They pay me. The drug dealer then gives me
A
uh,
cut.
a cut of the
Mhm.
of the cocaine, not money, of the
Oh.
cocaine. So, God, I hate to go into too much detail. So, if somebody buys $50 worth of crack cocaine, usually you will give them 3. Okay, it's called 3 for 50. But the drug dealer, because I'm bringing him business, and it's only costing him $10 or $5
Mhm.
to have my crack, will give me 4. So I'll run back out, give the guy the 3 because they don't want to deal with the people on the streets. They're in the
Mm.
motel room. I run back, and then he gives me my 1. So I
Gotcha.
have 1 rock, a $10 rock of crack cocaine, and I go out there to sell that. So I have money to get on the bus. So anyway, I sell it to the undercover. They arrest me.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, I sold it to the set team, street enforcement team, and they arrest me. And while I'm waiting for the paddy wagon, and there's actually paddy wagons, uh, yeah, see, Baltimore, Mr. Gray. Anyway, so
Mhm.
I'm waiting for the paddy wagon, and I'm crying profusely. And the cop who's waiting with all us who have been rounded up, it's like, why are you crying? Because he thought something was wrong, or maybe I was hurt or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember telling him, I said, I'm crying tears of gratitude
Oh,
because I'm
wow.
going to live. I can't do me on the streets. I can't do
This is
me.
it. This
I'm
is it.
160 pounds. My jaw is wired shut because I had my jaw broken twice in the month before. I got pock marks all over my face. All my fingers are full. Every finger has a blister on it from trying to light a pipe. I couldn't even light a pipe. I mean, a lighter like this, I couldn't do it anymore. I had to use the side of my hand because the blisters on every finger from it. I had blisters on every toe. I had no socks, a pair of sneakers, a pair of shorts, and a t-shirt. And those were the sole possessions, no underwear, that I
Mm,
owned in the
mm,
world.
mm, mm.
And so I can do jail. I can do prison. Been there twice before. I've been to jail 20 times. So I can do that.
Mhm.
You've saved my life. And it was tears of gratitude to the police. Later on, it became tears of gratitude to God, but I wasn't identifying with God at that point.
Mhm.
That didn't come until about a month into my jail when God and I had a conversation.
You say, look, I'm tired of the way Ken's been doing this. Let me try to do this your way, right?
Well, my way is the way it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
What God said to me is that this is not going to be easy. This is not going to be without discomfort, but I will be there. Walk through, follow my will, do God's will. And I got that. I mean, I know, I talk about it in the book. I remember where I was, lying on the bunk in Unit 13 at Parr Boulevard in Washoe County, Nevada, because that's why I got arrested in Reno.
So the timing is very unique.
Mm,
You were on
mm.
your way to rehab, right?
Yeah, yep,
And got
yep,
arrested.
yep. But the rehab wouldn't have worked. I don't think it would have worked.
Why, I mean, and your story is very common. Why wouldn't have rehab worked?
Well, it didn't work the other 13 because one of the reasons why is it's an early recovery for an addict like me. There has to be controls to the environment. And the control I had is that I was locked up. I'm in this bars. Whereas if I'm in a treatment center, I can't tell you how many times I've walked away from a treatment center.
Mm.
I get a compulsion to use, or better yet, somehow I come across some money from the external. Oh, Ken, there's a check here for you. Oh, Ken, there's money, there's a credit card that came for you. I left the whole treatment, climbed over the fence in Jackson, Mississippi, because
Jackson.
I had a prison. Yeah, I've done dirt in Cali, Washington, Alaska, Nevada, Mississippi. Um,
Mm.
yeah.
The South, running from rehab in the South. It just looks like an opportunity for issues, problems, and complications.
I had issues. Believe me, I had issues. I'm not from there.
I know.
I'm not from Jackson, Mississippi. I'm this Ivy League educated guy from Alaska. Do you know how much I stood? First of all, they don't know that till you start talking,
Talking, yes.
right? And I still talk like this when I'm
Mm-hmm.
sober, especially. Now
Mm-hmm.
I can put on personas, becoming Ken. I have a persona as a drug dealer. I have a
Mm-hmm.
persona as a pimp. I've done them.
Survival.
Okay.
Survival.
But it's an act.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, they would see through it, especially, if they're around me long enough, they'd see through. You're not from here. Well, first of all, I'm not. I don't speak like I'm from Mississippi. So anyway, I'm again very fortunate because I'm not from that neighborhood. I'm not from that area. It's not like it's Crips and Bloods and all that. I've dealt with that world. But in the thing about Mississippi, which blows me, nobody moves there. Nobody moves to the hood in
Yeah.
Mississippi, in Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know anything about Jackson, first of all, the hood is 100. The only thing white in the hood was the postman, the police, and the prostitutes. That
Mm-hmm.
was the only thing white
Mm-hmm.
in
May
the
I
hood.
ask how you ended up in Jackson to be?
I went to go to treatment.
Oh, okay. So you were someplace else and imported there?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, very much imported there
Okay.
because
Okay. Okay.
Ken in the South, it was just a different world to
Yeah.
me. It's a I had never seen a black woman with a tattoo till I went to Jackson, Mississippi. I'd never seen one.
Mm.
Okay. I had never seen a black woman with gold teeth, a gold
Till you
tooth.
went to Jackson,
Till I went to
Mississippi.
Jackson. I had, let
Just
me put it another way. I had never seen so many dark people. I'm so stupid. I asked somebody, why is everybody so dark down here? And they looked at me and said, are you stupid or something? He said, this is what they told me. He said, when someone was born that's light skinned, we sent your butt up north because
Mm-hmm.
something was wrong, quote unquote. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Mississippi. I ain't talking
Mississippi.
about New Orleans and quadroons, octoroons. We're talking
Yes,
about
and Creoles and stuff.
Mississippi.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Folk. And I'm
The
telling
South,
you,
the South. Yes.
yeah, first time I saw a grill, I had never seen a grill. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
from the South. And this was 1998. So
Okay.
things have now, because of music and culture,
Social media,
yeah.
everything's is
I mean, black women having tattoos, they probably somebody in Anchorage. I know there is.
oh
But where
yeah.
I came from, there was none.
He said, what
I
is
never,
this? What is
I'm
this?
like,
Jumping
y'all all
fences
different
in
down here.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, that's how I got down there. I went to
Okay.
treatment
Okay. So
and
it
I
was a
ran
month.
away.
Okay, so it was a month. Let me get back to the quick trip thing.
Right.
So it was a
Okay.
month after quick trip arrest, and you're sitting there and you're like, I can't do this anymore. But what makes that? Because I'm pretty sure Ken had said that to Ken many a times. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. But here is Ken doing this again. How? I guess the question a lot of people have is, what is it about that moment for somebody that says, I can't do this anymore, and then you don't do it anymore?
Well, you don't do it anymore over time.
Hmm.
But this is the most difficult thing, I think, for me to explain to individuals. There's two aspects of long-term sobriety that I can think of. I'm just doing this right off the top of my head. This is the first time I've ever articulated this. One aspect is this: the greatest predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And what I mean by that is that you need to get physical time and create a habit of not using,
Okay.
okay, or not drinking,
Okay.
okay. I'm real comfortable. Somebody offered me a drink. No, I don't drink. I'm real comfortable. One time I was in a casino and they brought over, I told them I wanted a Diet Coke, and they brought over this little glass with Coke in it. And I'm like, and I smelled it. I said, this got alcohol. She said, oh, I thought you wanted a rum and Coke. I said, no. But see, that's easy for me to do because I have a habit of not using,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Because I put time. The greatest predictor, 100% of long-term sobriety is long-term sobriety.
That's it.
I got 21 years. My chances of using, there's a percentage chance of me using today. You have 2 days of not doing heroin, 2 days of not shooting up methamphetamines. Your chances are less than average. And I'm telling you, still alive. Your chances are much greater. Remember, we start with this many people got sober the same day I got sober.
Mm-hmm.
1 year later, 2 years later, 3 years later,
Okay.
boom. And I've always told people I only have one goal. I'm going to go back to the second part of this. I only have one goal in the program, the anonymous programs I belong in, but of being clean and sober. And I have one goal. That is to die never having picked up again. I don't know how long it will be. That's the only goal I have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's one, is getting the time, is physical time. The second thing is, do you have a spiritual entity? And this is the tough one, that modifies behavior and action. Because I get a lot of people that profess to a spiritual God, Allah, Buddha, whatever, Wiccan, but does it modify your behavior?
Gotcha.
Because if not,
It's just running your mouth.
that's just air going through your vocal cords. My God modifies my behavior. How does he do that, Ken? When I come to situations that are concerning to me or my loved ones, that I have to make a decision, I turn to God and I pray for his will, which is the next indicated correct thing to do. It's not about what gives me the most pleasure or puts off pain and discomfort. As an adult, you will have to make decisions that are going to be painful. Are you willing to accept that pain or discomfort? I love the word discomfort because that's like a level on the pain scale in accordance with God's will as you define it. And then the second thing we add, this is the 11th step in the anonymous programs, but I ask them for the courage because I've had to do that too. Believe me, I've had to do that. I've dealt with 2 mothers dying, a wife dying, since I've been sober. You think about what's the great. I've dealt with financial, lost a couple $100,000 one time, on a business deal. I've lost, relationships with people. I've had some physical things. So, but I've dealt with them all. This is something, Lana, I've been talking about a lot lately, and I want the listeners to hear this. I am well. I am well. I do life well. This is not ego. This is not hubris. This is not pride talking. But I do life well. Well, how do you know you do life well? Because I have very, very little friction with people, places, or things. And I'm comfortable in my own skin because I put God first, my wife second, and then a big space between everything else, including me.
There you go.
That's how I operate.
There you go.
And I love this. And the other thing, this is the key, one of the key. Because I am well, I'm not always working on Ken. I don't read a whole bunch of self-help books. I don't go to a bunch of podcasts to get self-help. I don't. I'd rather give it out and help others. So I mentor men all over the country. I have a Black men's book study that I do. I'm setting up a Black men's retreat. I'm setting that up in Atlanta this summer.
Okay.
To give back.
Awesome.
And almost everything I do is free. I don't charge for any of this type of stuff. There may be a cost for the retreat because I got to bring in speakers or whatever. I don't know. I'm not doing it to make a profit. Any way, shape, or form. I'm blessed. I'm a millionaire.
Pay it forward. Pay it forward.
And I'll just say that. Another thing, I want you to hear that. I'm a millionaire. Okay? And the reason I say that is I sit down with men and I work on their finances. Let's go through. What is your net asset position? What are your expenses? What are your income? Where are you struggling? What is your debt? Okay? And we go through, I bring up all of my finances. I show them exactly. I find it going back to 2007. Every dollar I have spent, I have tracked from 2007. I have it in spreadsheets. And I have a spreadsheet. And I share it with them to show them this is how I did it. It's one thing to say, hey, you can do it. Well, how do you do it? So I'm doing it. In fact, I'm working with a gentleman named Santiago Rosas and part of my Black men's group. And we're going to do a training, financial, free.
Awesome.
For men. So anyway, I just want to say, because a lot of times some people, first of all, there's industries that want you to think that you're unwell. Number one.
It's monetized.
Yes, they monetize it. Right. And cool. And then the other one is that there is a sense of hubris and pride involved in being not well. And also it allows us to rationalize some of the bad decisions that we make.
True.
Okay. And I'm talking about in sobriety. I'm just talking about the normal person walking up.
Victimhood.
Yep.
Victimhood.
Yes. Yes. I'm working on me. I'm working on me. You've been working on yourself for 15 years, bruh. You're not going to beat Usain Bolt
Or
in the 100
50 year old
meter.
talking about if my mother hadn't did that to me when I was 12. Like, okay, well, you're 50 now. Like, come on. Your
Well, that
decisions
takes
are
us, that
yours
takes,
now. Your decisions are yours now.
that's forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have difficult, a lot of stuff you have to learn, then you have to embrace it, and then you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And forgiveness is a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, you learn how to forgive others and you learn how to forgive self.
Yes.
I've hurt people, Lana. I physically have hurt people. Emotionally, I've hurt people. I've had 3 women try to commit suicide because of me. Because of me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say that with pride or any sense of, hey, look at me. I'm that powerful. At one point, I did. I got so much control over it was a working
Broken
girl.
ego. Broken ego.
Yeah. That, man, she tried to take herself out
Mm-hmm.
because I said this or did this to her. And I'm not talking about physically or sexually. I'm very manipulative emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
I understood the power of words. And so I could manipulate people because that was like my gift because I wasn't big on the streets, but I could talk. Okay. And that includes the police, the judges, the counselors,
Mm-hmm.
social service providers. But I could also do that in the dark side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Ken as well.
Ken is well. Ken is competent to life, and I'm lovable.
Mm-hmm.
That's self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
What is your self-efficacy or competency to life? All that means is self-esteem consists of two things. Self-efficacy, which is really, can I make good decisions?
Mm.
That's what it is.
Mm.
Can I trust myself to make a good decision?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a long succession of bad boyfriends.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why my self-esteem is low.
True.
And then it's a cycle. My self-esteem is low, so I'm not worthy of a good guy,
Yes.
good girl, or whatever. I'm just using that as an
Yeah.
example. But can I trust my decision making? Okay. Am I competent to life?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then am I worthy of love? Am I worthy of love?
Mm-hmm.
When you're shame-based, it's hard to be worthy of love. I was out there, what was it 10, 15 years prostituting, which
Mm-hmm.
is on the streets as a male, it's the lowest you can be. Pretty much the lowest. I had child molestation, maybe, but that wasn't my world. I mean, that's not the world I was in. But on the streets, that's as low as you can get, right?
Mm-hmm.
For a male. Now, women, there's different things, okay? So anyway, I was there and I hated me. How could I be lovable? I'm out here doing XYZ consistently on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
That devalues me and devalues, my relationship with the world. So, if you're shame-based, it's very, very difficult to feel that you're lovable or have some self-worth. And
Mm-hmm.
then, can I make good decisions?
I'm thinking that must have been a challenging time, all encompassing. So, because you're doing self shame, self judgment, but then you have others looking on you and be like, oh, that can't. Which one was harder to kind of toxic navigate the soup to deal with? Your personal shame or dealing with people?
100%. 100%. It's personal.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I say to people all the time. I can tell more about your self-esteem by how you take a compliment than by how you take a criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And individuals that have difficulty taking a compliment, it's because it's not congruent with their self-talk, which says that I am less than, that I am not competent. I'm faking the funk,
Mm-hmm.
as we used to say.
Imposter syndrome, is that what you
Yeah,
have?
yeah, that's what the white folks say.
Yeah, imposter
Black folks say we faking the funk. Man, you
fake the
faking the
funk,
funk.
right?
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things is how do I get that congruence? But so I always say this. There are 3 conversations that you have: external, internal, spiritual. Who are you listening to?
Mm-hmm.
And this talks about peer pressure in your environment, your coworkers or your boys on the street, your road dogs, whatever you want to
Mm-hmm.
call. Who are you listening to for your information, for your self-esteem? And really, more importantly, who has precedence?
Yes.
I'll be honest with you. This is so most of the time. So a lot of people are, like you said, external. They get their self-esteem from external
Validation.
accoutrements and or information given to them that says you are all right.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you look really good today.
Yeah.
Hey man, you did a good job on that drive-by.
Mm-hmm.
You stood up for the game or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's coming from external. Okay, I must be all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the man.
Then there's the internal self-talk. And then there's communication, talk, prayer, meditation with God. And what does take precedence? For me, 95 or 90% of the time, it's my self-talk. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening because I talk to myself most of the time. I mean, a great majority of the time, positively.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll be like, ah. And then, but as you work your way up the layers, I really, it would be great to get into a place where everything is a communication with a God, and that daily walk and your daily actions
Mm-hmm.
are, but this is what I tell people. My will and God's will are aligned like 99% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
They're aligned.
Mm-hmm.
I know what the right thing to do is. Every
Mm-hmm.
once in a while, I'll stub my toe and I'm like, Ken, that was selfish.
Mm.
That's self-centered, or wanted to put off that pain for a minute, but it wasn't worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But, and then definitely not coming from external. The only person I will really take heed to is my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And in a lot of ways, that's a spiritual thing too. But
Yeah.
I'll listen to my wife because she always has my best interest at heart and vice versa. Okay. And so anyway, that's where I'm at on that. Well, it just like I could go on. It just I can go down this lane, I can go down that lane, because there's so many beautiful things that we're talking about. That this is my thing, Lana, and I may be wrong. I did 92 podcasts last year just to share what I'm sharing with you. I'm not looking to sell more books. I'm not looking to get on more stages. It'd be nice. Great. Holler at me. Here's my QR code. Go to my website, go to LinkedIn, Ken Miller 84. Great.
Mm-hmm.
I do this because I don't hear anybody else saying this. I'm not saying I'm unique or I'm this guru or anything, but I will talk about things that you won't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I will talk about them in a manner that I've grown from being able to talk about this, but I have quote unquote suggestions. I could say answers, but I have suggestions on how to move forward if you have or have experienced the same things that I have. How do you deal with the,
that? And I think it's only fair to say that, if you're going to address people who have situations of self-doubt or low self-esteem,
Mhm.
to get the insight from somebody who has done the full arc, who has lived that
Great,
full
I've
circle.
overcome it.
Yeah. So it
I
would,
don't know if you can tell, but I have a high estimation of my worth
yes.
and my competency. And a lot of times I'll get external. So I speak. And at the end of the speak, we usually do a survey to see how well did he do. And I'm like, oh, almost always 4s and 5s. I remember I got a 1 one time, a scale of 1 to 5. I got a 1. He talks too much. I'm like, I'm
I'm
here
the
doing a talk.
speaker.
Yeah, the
Yes,
speaker
I'm.
talks too much. I'm like, or another one, he moves around too much because I move around when I talk.
Yeah.
I move around. I want you to engage. I want to walk up to you in the audience and talk to you, just that little small portion, or I move over to that section. That's just my choice. And I'm still cool with it.
Yeah,
But
but
it's
I
so,
think that's a good visual technique, audience
it is.
engagement technique, right?
There's a lot. There's a lot to the speaking world, technically,
Hmm.
that if you're not in the speaking world, you wouldn't know.
You don't understand why they're doing. Oh, yeah.
Right. You don't know if you're talking about the past, you move stage left. If you're talking
Hmm.
about the future, you move stage right. The middle is the present.
Hmm.
You didn't know that, did you?
No. Yeah.
Center stage, to make a point, you move up on the stage to make the point. You make the point, then you gradually go back
Hmm.
because you want people. So in writing, we can bold, underline, and italicize. Go to your word, you'll see those 3. And that brings the eye's attention to the letter or word that you have bold, underlined, or italicized. How do you do that when you speak? You modulate your voice.
Hmm.
Different places you can move on the stage will identify certain things, certain ways that you can work with your hands. You never cross in front because your heart, people are looking at, at the heart, because that's the seat of it used to, we believed that it was the seat of our emotions. We didn't know it was in the head. That's why courage comes from cœur, which is heart, to have
Mm-hmm.
heart. I mean,
Just
anyway. And
yeah,
so I love sharing.
yeah, but and I'm sitting here listening to you talking. I think when you're talking to audiences who are struggling with self-esteem and just some of the body posturing that speakers naturally engage in, it might trigger some like, why is he coming so close to me, or why is he that? So I was just.
No, you do it. No, not if you do it. That's interesting you say that. So I teach a class called the Faculty Training Academy, and it's a train the trainer, how to
Okay.
work with disseminating adult material, adult learning,
Hmm.
right? How to teach classes is what it is
Okay.
to adults, not children.
Okay, to adults. Okay.
And one of the things that we do is when we have an individual that is over talking, because this is a limited amount of time that you're in this classroom or workshop. One of the things is we come up closer. We're respectful, but we come up closer. And a lot of times that's an indication that, well, why is this individual coming up closer?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been talking for the last 10 minutes to answer a 1 minute, answer
Mm-hmm.
to a question. And a lot of times we'll lower our voice to that individual and say, so why do you do that? Let's see if we can get another individual to share on that
Ah.
question, and then I'll turn, and that individual will usually pipe down.
So,
But
okay.
it's again, it's doing, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. There's people who have forgotten more about speaking from the stage than I'll ever know. Been doing this for a few years, 10, 15. But I had to learn. When I first started talking, I had a tendency that people would cry
As you're
because I'm
sharing your
talking.
story.
Yeah, I'm sharing my story and how I share it
Okay.
because now they've gone back
Oh, and process them
and
some more.
processed. I was 18 years old. I got raped. I got raped by
Mm,
another man, black man, raped me.
mm,
Okay. Traumatic, traumatic. And so I tell that story, and then I'm telling the story of taking a shower for 2 hours because I felt so dirty.
mm,
I'm telling the story of how badly I would talk to myself because I put myself in that situation.
mm, mm,
I drank that.
mm,
I took those drugs. I went back home with this man.
mm,
That was on me. But I'm beating myself up. Okay. And so I'm telling, I would do stories like this, and I'm like looking at these women are crying. I'm like,
mm.
and I'm like, we didn't go there too far, but let me say another thing. This is wild. And you can cut out if you need to anything. But let me just say that I have talked to probably over 100, 150 prostitutes. I call them working girls,
Mm-hmm.
because of the world I was in. And many times they liked me because I didn't stress them for sex.
Okay.
I didn't. We just go smoke crack or
Okay.
drink. Okay. We're both doing the same shit out there.
Yeah.
So excuse my language, same stuff out there. So anyway, I talked to them. And the other thing is I would talk to them about their children. Most of them got kids. I'll tell you that
Mm-hmm.
right now. Most of those girls out there, at least I'm not talking about, the ones that do the out call and,
Call
you got
girls.
to,
Call
yeah.
girls. Yeah.
Well, yeah, call her, all that. I'm talking about street level.
Streetwalkers. Yes.
Yep. And first they got kids, and I would ask them about abuse. I, to this day, have not met a woman who is in the field of prostitution at the street level who was not sexually abused as a child or teenager. I have not met one.
Mm.
And because they felt safe with me, we would talk about that. We would talk about that. And, I talk about my experience, da, 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 da. But, with them, I'm talking 6, 9, 10. Anyway, so I'm talking about this stuff from the stage and I'm bringing up stuff sometimes. So I'm a little more reticent. Boy, I got some big words coming out today. I'm a little more reticent in coming. Yes, some people are going to be listening. What kind of black guy is this? Ivy League
Ivy League and
educated.
Ivy League black
Yeah,
guy.
Ivy League. Okay. English major. Remember that
Yes,
part?
right. Mm-hmm.
Large
Now,
vocabulary.
now it'd be different if you could break down the word for us. All right.
Yeah, well, reticent means
Reticence.
holding is doesn't talk a lot. I'll
Yeah.
be reticent. I'll hold back.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at the audience, I do that. I've made two changes in that. And then the other thing is I try not to use as much violent terminology. Oh, we did a great direct mail. So I'm a fundraising expert. Literally, I teach fundraising all over the country. We did a great direct mail fundraising piece. We killed it. I mean, and there's a whole bunch more, but they're like terms of violence.
Mm-hmm.
And the audience I'm usually speaking to are very, very, very progressive, very, very nice people in the nonprofit world. And somebody said, Ken, you must be like 5 or 6. I came from the streets. I came from my bad, just a term we use.
Yes,
And we
yes.
murdered it, man.
Yeah. Like,
Knock it
hold
out
on,
the
wait a
park.
minute now.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
are some liberal progressive people, right?
Yes. Yeah, they weren't ready for that. But I'm just going to be, I share my truth. And my thing is I just want to scale it and get in front of more people because I believe it's a value. Let me put it this way. I know I've helped people. I know I have. How do you know that, Ken? Well, when you sit down with a grown man
Mm.
who has a dream, because I mentor men all over the country, and I say, I have one obligation to you, a responsibility, and I have one thing that I want to do for you. And they're like, what is that other than all the other stuff? I said, my goal is to engender your dream.
Oh.
What is your dream? I've had guys sit there for 5 minutes because as Black men, people have taken away their ability to dream. No, you can't do that. No, you'll never. Nah, you must be out your mind.
Yes.
Don't try to get out the hood or don't try to be better than us or be better than me because that's literally what they're saying.
True.
Psychologically, or they just don't believe that anybody in
None
our
of us have
family
never
could
done it before.
graduate.
So what are you trying to do?
Yeah,
Thinking,
nobody in our families graduate from college. Why do you
Yes.
think you can go to college?
Yeah.
Or you can get this kind of job or make this kind of money in the legit world. So my thing is to engender dream. So I'm sitting down with a young man, phenomenal young man, and I'm like, "How are we doing?" On the go, and he started crying. Grown man, big guy,
Mm-hmm.
big Black man, and he said, "We did it." No, I said, "You did it," but yeah, we did it. Maybe I almost feel like crying right now, just remembering, because I remember I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, why do you do this? I've been doing this for 15 years. And one time I had 28 mentees. I have 13. I had to let go some. It was too much because I give them my time. And my time is valuable. It's not the value. I just don't have the physical. I choose not. It's not that I don't have. I choose not. That was a decision I made. At one point, I had 53 volunteer commitments, 29 individuals, 28 mentees, one sponsee, and 24 boards, committees, and task forces that I was on. 53.
Ken was not well at that time.
But I was well, but I wasn't well. And that's a great way you put that up, because one of the key components to growth and wellness is the ability to say no. Period. Not even not now, just say no. Because a lot of times that's a self-esteem issue.
Overextending yourself is the people pleasing.
Well, it's not the
Yes.
Yeah, but what it is this. Would you do X, Y, Z? Of course. Yes. In your head, you're saying, if I say no, they won't like me. They won't engage with me. I will lose the relationship. They will look at me differently. That's what that a lot of times is. Okay.
And when you
So
cut back,
I
they
learned how
still
to say
like
no.
you. They still like you when you cut back, right?
Man, there were so many people that were so happy for me. Because most people don't know the extent. They're just asking you to do X, Y, Z. They don't know you're doing A, B, C, and CDE and GHR, whatever. They don't know about the 23 other boards and committees and subcommittees and task force that you are on. Nor are they concerned. That's not their. They just ask you, can you do it? And that's the other thing. Once you get the reputation, because it's another deal. I'm real big on there has to be alignment with what you say and what you do. It's called integrity.
That part, yes.
So I've said I'm going to do this. Now I got to, and I said verbally or in writing, now I got to do it. Now I got to do it. And I'm telling you, that's not been a struggle, because I'm trying to come up with a solution. It's been a difficulty in the Black male community I work in. People will say, yeah, I'll be there, Ken. I'll be at the meeting. I'll be at the event. I'll do. And all I ever tell them, and then same thing with my mentees. I said, the only thing I want from you is to show up, number one. And if you can't, just contact me and we'll reschedule. But don't no-show me.
Easy as that, yes.
You know, I make $500,000 a year. Divide that by 2,080. How much is that? How much is an hour of my time worth? And here you are going to leave me hanging for me to give you information for your benefit. Or showing up late.
Yeah.
And it's endemic, at least in the community of individuals. And I'm working with some of the sharper people.
Yes.
Okay. So I've talked about that. And I've worked with my guys on that. I've never fired anyone. I've never gotten rid of anyone. When I went from 28 to 10, originally it was 10, I went and had a meeting with each of them one-on-one, because I told them this was open-ended. That was my word. But I explained, and they're like, Mr. Miller, man, I am so appreciative of the time. Because some of these guys I've been working with for years. And you get more time to spend with your family. I'm newly married. I got the grandkids, the stepkid, whatever, and I need to build my business because I've moved. Anyway, I got a brand new business. It was a lot going. I have a book coming out. I got to go speak, whatever. And then all the organizations, I did the same thing. I said, what is, you submit a resignation. I'm volunteering. 1 year I did, because I track all my volunteer hours. I did 1,060 hours, something like that, 1,100 hours. Now, remember, if you work full time, it's 52 times the 50, anyway, it's 2,080 hours
Yeah.
because it's
For
40 hours in a
8 hours a
week.
day, yeah.
40 hours in a week. Yep. And it's 2,000. So you could say half of my year I volunteered.
Oh.
It's different times. I would do
Mhm.
some weekend, I'd have evening board meetings, whatever. So it freed up and allowed me to finish the book because it took me 2.5 years to write that book. And I'm gonna mention this now, but Len, I'm writing 3 more books this year. My word is my bond. I'm writing a book on respect and disrespect, which is going to be powerful.
Awesome.
I'm writing a book on pragmatic fundraising because that's my expertise and my career expertise. And then I'm writing a book, which I'm still working through. I'm the first 2 books I pretty much already got the outlines, all that going. But I'm writing a book on I'm good with good. I'm good with good. This thing where we got sold down that you need to be great at something. You don't need to be great. You need to be good or very good.
Mhm.
Okay. Don't be mediocre. Don't be
Yeah.
poor, but be good.
Be good.
Be.
Mhm.
And then take that time that you freed up because it takes a lot of time and money. That's what capacity is, time and money to be great.
Yes.
And some of you do not have the skill sets or the genetics to be great.
Mhm.
So why don't you take that time and spend it with your loved ones? Why don't you take that time and spend it, if you so choose, the church? Why don't you take that time and do things that are self-nurturing
Yeah.
instead of grinding
Chasing those
multiple
carrots.
hours and dollars trying to be great? So I'm gonna write a book on that. That's just my opinion. I am not a big fan on being great.
It's good enough.
Good enough.
It is
Good
good
is
enough.
good enough.
Good is good enough. Okay.
So look for those that come out. Hopefully,
This year?
at least 2 of them. Yeah, this year. I got one of them starting on right now. I'll be real frank. Not real frank. I just talk my truth. I'm very, very involved in AI.
Mhm.
I have a company that works with and does
Yeah.
things with AI. So I'm using what I took me 2.5 years to write my first book. I truly believe I can write this book in less than a week.
Okay.
And it'll be the respect book will probably be about 110, 120 pages.
Okay.
Pragmatic fundraising will probably be more like 90. And then the good enough with good would probably be another 110, 120 pages.
Okay. Okay. So we'll be looking for those by the end of the year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
working with a company for the publishing already. I got the outline. I work with ChatGPT and Claude,
Mhm.
are the 2 platforms that I'm working with for different aspects of it. Um, and then also Notebook LM, Google Notebook LM.
And then also in between this, you're doing the men's group that's coming this summer in Atlanta,
Yeah,
right?
of course, of
Okay.
course. That's just and then I have the men's study group. So any listeners listening, you can always contact me if you're a man of color.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with saying that.
Okay.
You can be Hispanic, you can be Black,
Okay.
Dominican, whatever.
Yeah.
A man of color, and you want to partake in a book study, and the books are all nonfiction. That's all we
Okay.
do. We did Cry Like a Man by Wilson, and we did Six Pillars of Self-Esteem by Brandon, was our first book, and Cry Like a Man. And then we're meeting next Tuesdays, and this may not be in time, but you can still contact me. You can come in. We're just picking the book
Okay.
on the
Is it
20th,
once a month or every Tuesday?
uh, uh, um, every other Tuesday.
Every other Tuesday.
Every other Tuesday. And I have the, schedule. I just send out the Zoom link. And it's every other Tuesday. We go 6 months per book, and
Mm-hmm.
they're always nonfiction. So it's called the Six Pillars, from the Six Pillars of Self-Esteem, but the Six Pillars Black Men's Book Study and Discourse Group. And it's phenomenal. It's
It
phenomenal.
sounds
We
like
got
you're
that.
you're doing what your mother did to you with those flashcards. You're making people read and making people engage with language and
What I'm trying to do is allow men to think in a healthy environment This is not the barber shop.
Mhm.
Okay. This is not on the bleachers waiting to run ball, play
Mhm.
basketball. We don't talk about women unless it's congruent or not
To the
congruent, but it's in
book.
connection with the book.
Uh-huh.
We don't talk about sports. We don't talk about music. We're there to do a book study and discourse on what we've read in a nonfiction book. Okay. And it's so cool to watch people grow in that group.
Mm.
Ones that are not that comfortable with. And then the other thing is we have this bond. So that's why I'm doing the men's retreat is mainly for that group, but anybody will be invited that's again of color
Mhm.
in Atlanta this summer. But we've built relationships because you remember the most dangerous thing to a black man is another black man. And how do we break that?
Mhm.
And then the other thing is black people don't trust black people.
Mhm.
And you say, what do you mean? Who's your accountant? Who's your lawyer?
I had just asked somebody that question, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Are they black?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's the only reason you did that, because you can give me all the rationalizations, for, the
Mhm.
conditions that you needed this person to do, whatever. Okay. If that works for you, that's fine.
Mhm.
But again, I want black men to build relationships and bonds. And I have that. We get together, at some conferences and we go out and have dinner.
Mhm.
And it's just wonderful. And then people make relationships outside of the group between people they've met.
True.
And I'm just and this is another thing, Lana, this is probably important. I say this is that pretty much everything I do these days, I'm always looking to either identify or give resources to the next generation. I'm 63. Okay. We just did the book study. I started it, but the second book, I had two co-leads who, that was the books. One of them was his book, and then another one helped him.
Mm.
The co-lead, you lead the group now. You
Mhm.
open it up. I'll take care of the Zoom, all that
Mhm.
stuff. But it's your group. If you want to change it around, I have no problem with that. As long as it's a nonfiction book, that's like the only, and it's got to
Yeah.
be this time because that's the time that we were voted on to do Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Mhm.
Okay. But it's you. When I speak now, especially like in the fundraising world, every time I'm looking for one of my younger black men who are fundraisers to speak with me.
Paying it
I'll do the
forward.
application, I'll do the lead. We'll go over the slide deck and I'll show you. But I want to get you on the stage. I want you to be exposed.
True mentor. Yes.
Yeah.
Paying it
What does a
forward.
mentor do? I will give you information. First of all, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to support your dream. But how do I do that? By giving you information. And I'm also going to introduce you to people. And then I'm going to support you. I cannot tell. I just got one this morning. A gentleman, I said, check this out. If you have a conference or an event that you want to go to, I'll pay for the room and board. You pay for the registration. Or vice versa. There's always three things. There's travel, there's hotel, and there's the conference
Mhm.
registration. If you think this is going to be a value added to you, let me know and I will help you out. I've been blessed, bro.
Mhm.
You need this. You can't afford it. You're early in your career. I understand that. Talk to me.
Mhm.
Talk to me.
Mhm.
And I've done that. I'm glad I have. I still do it. I'm working on a podcast. Of all things, we're going to um, a podcast conference
Okay.
because he has a podcast called The Black Experience.
Okay.
And anyway, so I'm good taking he's one of my mentees. And we just talked about it this morning. But he said, I found one in New York. I said, bro, do you know how expensive New York is? Can you find
Oh,
something like
especially now.
Peoria, Illinois or something? Or Jackson, Mississippi? You found like the most expensive place to go to a
Please, I
conference.
tell you,
Boy,
right?
I'm about to take a second loan or a loan on my
To get
house
there.
to get you there. So
You're
anyway,
blessed. You're blessed. You're blessed. Well, I think I have taken, yes, I think I've taken up all your time. Let me ask you my
Yeah.
random question, and
Okay,
and I
let's
will
do it.
let you get out of your hair because I try not to take up this time. So I apologize in advance. But
No problem. This has been going so good.
yeah.
You kidding?
So let me see here. Let me see what I have for my random question. Yeah. If you could have an all expensive paid trip, where would you go?
Good
Not
question.
Mississippi. I know that, right?
No, Mississippi. I can afford that. And we're talking about all expenses paid.
All expenses
I,
paid. Where would you go?
I, I would probably, let's just take a quick, yeah. I would maybe, I'm just going to start off with this one. Maybe Vietnam.
Okay.
And you like,
Okay.
I always like to answer the why part. Why did he choose Vietnam? Some black guy.
Yeah.
First of all, my brother fought there.
Okay.
He was a machine gunner and has
Okay.
some horrific stories. And he's
Biological
passed away.
brother or your mother's?
My remember my father had two children
Okay.
from a
Okay.
former, I just call him my brother.
Okay.
For me, family is a very loose term, okay?
Yes.
But anyway, and I know there's been so many changes, but just to go back there, feel that heat and
Mm-hmm.
feel I'll be mostly on the beach. I'll
Mm-hmm.
guarantee you that. But just that idea of, and plus I've never been to the Far East, so
Okay.
that would be cool. Man, that possibly in. I mean, there's so many places. India. I want to do Europe.
Okay.
I haven't done Europe, and it's weird because yeah, I don't know if I told, but anyway, I have a home in South America.
Okay.
So
Okay.
my wife and I built a 6 bedroom home with a swimming pool on the beach
Okay.
in South America. It's beautiful, but we never get down there. It's in Ecuador. Um, and so I know South America, but I still want to go to Brazil. Brazil is fascinating,
Yes.
fascinating in
Yes.
a lot of ways.
Yes.
Okay. Now you got me on a little side. I'm going to try to make this quick. The thing that one of the things I could not understand for a long time, I didn't understand the why. And the question was 1998, Sammy Sosa, the baseball player, said that he was not black on an interview,
Mm-hmm.
and they ripped him a new one. And I didn't understand. I just remember laughing. What do you mean you're not black? You black here or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to the Dominican Republic. And in the Dominican Republic, black means a very specific thing. It's called negro.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only like, let me make sure I get my percentage. There's only like 8% of the population that's negro,
Mm-hmm.
and that's black. 70, 80% are mestizo.
Mm-hmm.
That means they're mixed. And they're like, they look like me. Or they look like
Mm-hmm.
you. I mean, they're lighter skinned. Black. And then there's like only like 10 or 12 that are like all white. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's like 1% Jewish. They have this one community in the Dominican Republic, all the Jewish people. And they've been there for like 100, 150 years. It's just crazy in the
Yeah.
Dominican Republic. There's a Jewish city, or it's really a town.
Okay.
So when he was asked what they're saying to you, are you Negro? Are you black?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not black. But he doesn't go into a mestizo,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Or you can go mulatto, whatever you want to go, mestizo. And so when I went there, I found that out, okay? And that's 3 years ago. And so now I understand his
The
thinking.
hierarchy and the class. Yeah. Yeah.
But what I was thinking in Brazil, on your identification card, they have, I think it's 14 or 17 different
Classifications or
classifications,
yeah.
depending mestizo, mulatto. There's one for yellow. I hate to say that. There's
Yeah.
Asian. There's obviously blanco,
Mm-hmm.
negro, and then they have all these other gradients, and they're super comfortable with it. Ain't
Mm-hmm.
nobody complain on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we're so binary
Yeah.
in the United States, and there's reasons why we are binary is to make sure
It's
that we
built
were
into the
subjugated economically and you can say sexually, so that we did not partake into that, and especially in the South, into that economic largesse of the, of the South.
Tell us how we pick up the book and
Okay.
how we connect with you and all of that, sir.
The book's on Amazon. It's on Audible. Those are probably the top two places
Are you
to
reading
get.
it? Is it your voice?
Yes. No. My apologies. What I was going to use AI, I ended up paying, I believe it was 5,000 or 3,000. I got to pick the voice I wanted, but I did not use my voice because I had a time constraint.
Okay.
And to train AI for your voice was going to take more time and capacity.
Okay.
It's easier for me to pay the 3,000 to get another voice. Thank you for bringing it. And in the future, my future books, I will probably do my own because I got the AI. And then if you want to get in touch with me, very simply, I'm Ken Miller 84 on LinkedIn. And then if you're looking at the screen, you can see Ken Miller Speaks. You can do Ken at kenmillerspeaks.com. Will get me. And that's how you get a hold or do the QR code.
Well, sir, I thank you for letting me take up all of your time today.
That's all right. Friday.
I try not to take up this much, but you had a lot of stuff I wanted to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate you sharing your journey. I appreciate the work that you're doing, and I'll be looking for those 3 books for in the upcoming year. So just
Awesome.
keep on being amazing. Keep on being well. Keep on being Ken. How about that?
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for your time, Lana.
Awesome. That is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I'm your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Black Men Matter series on the Male Perspective. This podcast is an initiative of Conversations in Color, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to uplifting Black voices. Make sure to check out our website, conversationsincolor.org, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms. We'll see you on the next episode.